All right, this is Chicken's Lucio review number one. Um, so I think in this game, uh, the other team never actually won a fight. So it was pretty one sided. So there wasn't so many like mistakes that I could point out. Um, like I think you were kind of on healing aura a lot, but you had a mercy, so it kind of made sense. Although I think there were still times you could swap auras more. And then, there was never really a good time to to drop the beat. Um, and I think the moment you chose was fine. You ended up holding it for a long time, but that's just because the enemy team kept losing fights and like you never really needed it. Um, but I guess from a higher level or like more of a theory perspective, I did want to talk about two things. One is that your like default aura is like heals a lot, and basically, heal is like it's kind of a safe default. It's like a safer default to have because defaulting to speed requires you to like always be paying attention and being aware of when your team needs heals. But speed on default gives you more value. So basically, this chart is so like this is like roughly your team's HP. As it goes down, the value of heal goes up, right? Um, but then as once your team is healed up, then the value goes back down. Speed always has kind of a flat value. Like it's always good for people to be able to move around faster and reposition and manage their own health by like peeking corners and stuff like that. So speed always has kind of a solid base value, and heal is only good when people have taken damage. So you can play like default heals, and you'll always be healing when well, like unless you choose to swap to speed, you'll always be healing when the team needs it. Um, but the rest of this time, unless you're like being very aware of like when the team or like you're like switching speed to amp around corners or like amp to engage or and communicating that really well. The rest of the time, you're not really getting value out of your aura. Whereas if you're always on speed, even if you're not kind of if those calls aren't happening and you're not necessarily amping speed, it still helps people reposition and it still helps them play their own characters slightly better because they'll be able to move around and like take better positions and peek corners and do all that stuff faster. Um, so I guess um, yeah. So I guess like the worst way of playing Lucio is to always be on one aura. Second best I think would be like always like defaulting to heal, but then like swapping to speed when there's a clear need for the team. The very best way is to always default to heal, or sorry, always default to speed, so that you know even when there's not like a very clear present need for speed, people still benefit from it as long as they're topped off. But then being aware enough that like once people start taking damage, you swap to heal and then swap back to default once they've healed up. Um, so yeah, I guess that's something to try to work toward is like always defaulting to speed, and then but just trying to be aware of your team's health and like swapping to heal when it's needed rather than defaulting to it. The second thing is boops. So I think you do. Um, your boops aren't bad. I think there's something extra you could do with it. So right now, so in this game in particular, they only have one flanker, which is Hammond, and you end up booping him for to peel a lot. And what I mean by that is like he comes into your team and then you like boop him out. And I think this is sometimes okay. Um, but I think that actually once he's already slammed down, you might not want to boop him right away. And if you do boop him, you should boop him into your team rather than out of your team, because once he's slammed down, he no longer has like his damage from abilities, which is like rolling through your team. Does 50 to every like in fireball mode. When he rolls through, he does 50 damage to every person he hits, and then the slam does like 100 like if he lands on you, and then it's a little bit less if you go further if he's like further away. But once he's slammed already, most of the time, um, like once he's slammed, he's not gonna be able to like like grapple and like deal roll damage. So basically, he's already used. He's not able to put out any more damage from abilities, and his guns like while they do like decent damage, they're not. they usually don't kill someone unless like he's in like a isolated 1v1, because it's kind of like Sombra. It does like decent damage but doesn't like do burst. So once he's slammed in those situations, I think because you have an Orisa and you have a Sigma, like they can crowd control the Hammond and like prevent him from leaving. And your boops can also be applied the same way. Whereas I think a lot of the time you reactively boop him away, which actually helps him get out, which is what he wants because he's used most of his damage. He's wants to get out and let his cooldowns reset. So that's something I'll point out during the VOD. But I think that's like one thing. But the time that it is good to boop to peel Hammond is when he's rolling in, when he's like rolling toward your team. Like the fireball does like 50 damage per person he hits. Those are good times. You do a few times where you boop him out of the fireball, like he's rolling into your team, and then you boop him out. It stops his momentum, and then he basically can't do anything until his cooldown comes back in 5 seconds. So I think those are like good times to peel. But when he's already slammed, it's better to either just hold your boop and like wait to see if your tanks can CC him, and then maybe if he like pulls out his guns and starts shooting, then you can boop to peel. But otherwise, like try to get behind him and like boop him even further into your team and prevent him from getting out. And then on King's Row, there's like 2 spots for environmental kills. You did get 2 at the end. I'm not sure if there was really any other situations where, like earlier in the game, where you could have gotten them in the first pit, but that's always like something you should be looking out for and like being aware of where you are on the map. So I think this was pretty good. And then finishing blows, I think you did use it to kill someone who was low once, and I didn't see any cases where you booped someone that was low and they got away. So this was also pretty good. Like, just definitely be sure that if you're going to boop someone to get a kill, or like you're trying to use boop for damage, make sure that you're going to get that kill. But I think at least in this recording, you like that was perfectly fine. And then the last use of this is just buying space. So this is like booping Reinhardt back or booping their front line back to like provide your team more space. But this wasn't really a thing in this game. Like it just their team comp was kind of weird, and you never really needed to do this. So so yeah. So I think mainly for boops in this game, it was like deciding when to boop for appeal or when to boop offensively to make a play and like ensure a kill or like increase chances of a kill. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Okay. Oh, and I guess one thing real quick about the team comp. So their team comp is pretty weird. Like, I don't know. They have 2 DPS that kind of want to like spam and wait. They have a damage boost here, and like this is a lot of healing. So Mercy is mainly damage boosting, and I don't know. Like you can damage boost Junkrat, but and, like spam shields, but like it's not as much value as if you had like an Ashe or a Widow or a Hanzo or something that can like use the damage boost to get kills. You know, Junkrat can, but it's a little bit up to chance just because of how slow his grenades are. Like you can't just like one shot someone. You kind of have to like, you know, they have to walk into it a little bit. And then they have this Hammond who, you know, I don't know. He's kind of off by himself. He wants to like go in and come out and like do stuff like that, but like none of his team can really support him. And then the Ryan makes sense with the DPS and like the Moira, but Ryan by himself is really rough. Like you really need a off tank that can support him, like Zarya, D.Va, even Sigma, I guess, or even I guess Orisa now. But like having Hammond is really tough. Having Monkey with Ryan is really tough. Having Hog with Ryan is also tough for the Ryan, although the Hog can make it work. Or like they can kind of work together, but it still makes it really rough for the Ryan to do anything. And then on your side, so this makes a lot of sense. I think you guys are a little bit short on heals here, but I don't know, like they always keep dying and it never ends up mattering. And then I think like Hanzo and Doomfist kind of makes sense as well. So yeah, so like your tanks kind of want to play slow-ish and buy time for these guys to find picks, and Doom should always be like using one ability to get in and then using the other ability to get out, so either punch or slam. So he should be relatively safe, and then Hanzo can just poke from long range as well. So, and then once you guys get a pick or two, you should be speeding everyone in. Mercy should be damage boosting if everyone's full, healing if not, and kind of I guess you should also be healing more than you normally would because of the Mercy. Okay.
Defend objective A.
This is all good. I'm not sure where your Orisa is. Like, I guess she is maybe AFK, because she should be right here, and the second shield will let you guys push in, basically. So, like, they can leapfrog their shields in. But I guess right now, because she's not here, I think this is all like fine default. Everyone's poking. Okay, there's your Orisa. So I think your Sigma has the right idea to W. This shield, Orisa shield, should be more forward. I think he's maybe like when the first rollout started, this would have been fine, and then you like poke off of this. I'm using Sigma's shield to push. But I guess because they were kind of late, your Sigma's impatient, and you know they're like, oh, it's 20 seconds, and I want to be like pushing it, but it's fine.
Push on.
Yeah, so they get a pick. This is all like pretty default right now. Their Ryan's playing super aggressive, so actually, like here, I think if you had noticed the Ryan, you could you have amp up as well. You can swap speed and just go like there's like no one else looking at you. You can like come and like boop him in, and then your team can definitely kill him. So that's like one example of like a place where you can make a play. All right. But you know it is like there's some risk to it. Maybe if you like you know do like a wall ride and then like use that speed to get behind him, maybe better. But I guess just an example of like where you could have done something more. People are low here. Okay, so you do swap the speed here, and ideally, I guess if you can call the amp, either, and like you can make a plan here. So you guys can go this way for sure. You can also go through hotel and wrap behind them. Just everyone has to be on the same page. So if you know like I think when Lucio has amp, you should kind of be influencing the direction more. Just to, like tell people where you want to amp to, and then like and then amp them to there. So yeah, so I think you guys end up going this way, which is fine. Okay, you're peeling the ball. I think that's fine. Your other half that you Okay. So this is a situation where your Sigma's in there. Their ball's out, so there's no longer nothing in your backline. And this you can definitely need to like amp your team in to help your Sigma. So this needs to be used, and you need to be on speed. I guess you're healing because you're low, which isn't terrible. But you can amp speed and like stay on this and have cover as well, or like be here. And that'll still speed everyone, and then you can swap to heals and heal yourself back up. And the Mercy will probably heal you because, you know, like once they see that you're low, because everyone else is full. So Yeah. Oh. Okay, yeah. Like, see the Mercy started healing you, like, but the Sigma can definitely die here. And then here, like, everyone's basically full again, so now you can go back to speed, right? This is a situation where they're backing out, and you guys have the advantage. They lost 2. Everyone on your screen is pretty full, and like Mercy heals herself. And you know, if you're not sure, you can also like just do a quick like turn around and look. But beyond speed, you can amp this actually, and you can chase these kills because they're staggered or they're like trying to retreat. If you can catch them and get more staggers, that'll buy even more time, and they definitely won't have time to like reset and contest at the very end. So yeah, this should be speed because everyone's full, and then you should be amping because you're chasing these kills here, or you have an opportunity to chase kills here. Okay. The ball like comes back in for some reason, and he dies. So that basically ends up doing the same thing. Okay, so you should still be on speed here. It will help these people like poke and like dodge damage if needed. It can also help them like go in on things that are too far pushed out. So obviously you wouldn't be able to see like these people in game because you can't see them through the walls normally, but only in the review. But like you can still be on speed and like because heal. This is like a situation where heal has no value, right? So just being default speed provides something. Even it provides like a slightly higher chance of your team making opportunities. The other thing is like they all just like or they like lost a bunch. They lost both DPS and then the Mora and then the ball. So this is a time where your team should be pushing up, and you know you can make that call for your team. Just it's like one person on point, and everyone else push up. And you know I know it's like quick play and stuff, but if you do like the habits you build in quick play will be easier to like repeat in like competitive or in OCC or whatever. So okay. Yeah, so you guys should be like in there somewhere. Maybe like at the bookstore or like maybe even past it, depending on like who's going. Your tank should definitely not be here. And you should still be on speed. Okay. So yeah, so like this is like what should have happened, like 10 seconds ago. It's like if everyone like pushed up to here, they had some people like floating around here that you definitely could have caught. Right now, I don't know. I guess you're looking for poke, but it's kind of dangerous actually. You have the Sigma here, but the rest of the team is behind you, so I don't know. You don't get punished here, but maybe if they had like a sniper or something, maybe you would. So like once the enemy team is grouped up, so they've all had enough time to spawn, then at that point like you don't want to do this kind of peeking or like chasing anymore. So it's just like this would have been great 10 seconds ago, but now it's a little bit risky.
Spot the payload.
Barrier in place. Barrier unstable.
Okay, and yeah, so like if your whole team had been here already, then you could have been doing this at like the next corner, right? So like you just buy that much more space. Like this corner, you just buy that much more space. Like this is where you guys are playing right now is really great because the cart's like way back there, right? But in order for them to get to cart, they have to push through you guys, and you guys don't need to like hard hold this corner. You don't have to die here. You can like just put your shield down, put your Sigma shield up, spam them, burn down their Rhine shield. Let me clear this. You have your shields here. They have to push forward using their Rhine shield, and so like by the time like and then maybe they get up this corner, you guys can just back off, and then you play like the next corner, maybe the choke or maybe the side of the bookstore right here, and then you keep like spamming them, and they keep burning your Rand Shield, and by the time they get to cart, by the time they force you guys to back up to cart, they have no Rand Shield left, and then you just win because you have 2 shields still, and they have nothing. So like, but even better would be if you guys had pushed up to begin with, and you were maybe holding this corner, then that's even more time to burn out, and then maybe you would actually be able to hard hold here, because maybe you're able to burn the Rand Shield enough that you guys can just hold here, you know, or whatever. But like, so basically the idea here is that you're forcing them to use resources to take this space. You're not giving it to them for free. If you guys had positioned up further faster, then that's even more space that they have to burn resources to take. But you know, overall this is good. Okay, yeah, and their Ryan shield broke, right? So now they have to back off. And a lot of that is because they have this Hammond, so Ryan has no help. Like he would have to make space by like rolling through your team and then surviving somehow. Right now he's doing like literally nothing. He's basically like a shitty Sombra. So yeah, so this is like exactly the concept, and this is really great. And yeah, you're on speed this whole time. This is good. You do get bumped here, so you're starting to get a little bit low, and the Rissa has lost some of the perfect.
Unstable. Surely there is a more elegant solution.
Alright, and then here, because they lost 2, you guys can re-engage again. So you're on speed. I guess if you still had speed, then, or if you still had amp, then you could use it here. But obviously, like definitely where you amped was fine. I wonder actually if maybe you could have amped. So their Rhine Shield broke, and then this dragon came out. I think you could have maybe even amped your team, your tanks forward to like engage off of the dragon. But I guess that's kind of maybe a drawback of having like Mercy Lucio, is that you do also need to heal at the same time. So yeah, so I guess like if you had an Ana on cart basically instead of the Mercy, then like they could be healing this stuff up, and then you could use amp to speed. But because you have a Mercy and she's on cart, then you end up having to amp heal. Yeah, so I think I don't mind the way that it was played. I think in a different situation, the amp speed would have been better, but I think like because of where you guys are and like the people you have, then this would make sense. But normally it would be like just make sure you recognize that this dragon is an opportunity for everyone to go. Hammond also drops a really good mindset, kind of cuts you guys off. Although Sig can clear it with his shield if he has it up still. It's good awareness to like look around and like go try to help the Doomfist out. I guess so with the dragon. Another thing you could have done is like drop the beat and then speed everyone, but I think that's like, unless like you're absolutely sure everyone's on the same page, that might be, it's kind of risky because not everyone might realize, and then they might not, like you might end up wasting a beat. So I think I don't know, in a coordinated team maybe that's an option as well, when you have the Mercy, but okay, so here like everyone's like pretty healthy. You can be on speed here.
What is the blood?
Special attack.
I don't know what that Ryan's doing. Okay, people are low, you're healing. That's great.
Please move behind the barriers.
So that roll in and boop out, I think that's what I meant by like I think that's a good way of peeling Hammond because if he rolls through the team, he's going to do even more damage, and uh, he's going to have the momentum to get out. So I think like just stopping him and like preventing that damage is like booping for peels, and that totally makes sense to me.
You're on the same wavelength.
Observe the battle.
So again, I think you can be on speed here. Okay. So actually here, I think if you had booped, like right when you see him, crap, like here, I think if you had booped him back, that would be pretty good. You end up booping a little bit late, and then there was actually a chance to like confirm this kill here with boop if you had held it. Basically, after he slams, you can just like boop him back into the corner, and then he'll kind of be stuck again, and then your team should be able to kill him even through this overshield. And then I guess like not that many people are in your screen, so it's hard to know, but like you should be back on speed here. Let's see if there's a way that you could. So I guess like here, like these people are all full versus healing, so yeah, I don't know. Just like this is kind of like default to speed. Don't default to heals. I like this boop attempt actually. If you had walked a little bit more this way and booped him in this way, I think there's someone on the team over here, and they could have killed him. I guess the Doomfist also could have turned around, but and then okay, so then I think this position with the boop, kind of looks like you were going for it here, but like this little move off of the wall, and then like going behind the Rhine, because like his team's also super separated. So like going off the wall here and then booping him into your team is like the way to make a play. I think because you had tried to use boop a little bit earlier, you didn't have it, but that would have been like so like right here, like if you had boop, or if you waited like another second so that you can make that jump off the wall and then have it ready, then you boop them in. The Rissa and the Hanzo definitely clean them up with you shooting them from behind. I like the speed out of mine, so that's great. Helps your team get out as well if they're stuck in like a or something. They see that. Okay. I don't think like I don't know. You didn't like necessarily have to beat there, but I think it's totally fine. And there weren't really any places you could have really beat before. Maybe the shatter from the Rhine, although he didn't end up hitting anything. That could have been another moment, but yeah, this is totally fine. The other team just never really like had that much pressure ever to like force you to beat. Yeah, but I guess like the only thing is that like they were kind of already, I think they were already down 2 when he popped ult, and like you have 2 shields. It's not a super high threat ult. He did come from a weird angle, and maybe would have killed your Mercy actually. But I don't know. It's like it's fine. It's not like the best beat ever. It did end up saving your Mercy, but let's watch it again actually. You should know he's there. Yeah, I don't know. Like his team's dead. It's not a ton of threat. I think if your Mercy had been more aware, she could have also flown to cover. But you did save her, and maybe it was reaction to her getting low. In which case, I think it's fine as well. And I mean, also they don't really have any ults that like can really punish you for it. Like they don't have a grab, they don't have a signal, they don't have like a Risabongo or anything. So yeah, I don't know. I think it was like a perfectly fine use, but I think it also would have been fine to hold, like to try to hold it there.
Heilstrahl aktiviert.
See,
Okay, yeah. So I like that boop a lot again, where he's like trying to roll through your team and you just like stop his momentum. I think that's but so like this whole time you should be on speed, right? So you do swap to speed right now, and then yeah, I like that you're speeding for this dragons. But you need to pop amp here. There's a Junkrat to your left, which is like pretty dangerous. It doesn't seem like you notice him, but he's like you're seeing the grenades jump past you, and you can hear him as well. So you can hear him firing, and then these things like this can, if one of them directs you, then he can throw a mine and kill you right away. So just like when this is happening, try to like pay attention to those sound cues and like just look, and then maybe step forward into the shield, which I guess you do end up doing.
Helden sterben nicht. Team up for special attacks.
Okay. And for this part, you end up like defaulting to speed, but you're not really paying attention to like people who are low and stuff like that. So just make sure you do kind of keep a tab on who's low, and don't only try to chase kills. Like you have to do kind of both at the same time. Okay, and you see him; he's really low, and you use boop to kill, which is great.
Push on.
that's what
And then as soon as the cart starts getting to this area, you can always look for boops into this pit. I think you end up getting 2 of them,
is that
but
melody?
start looking a little bit earlier. Yeah, like now. Basically, anyone who's coming from this spawn, you can like potentially land a boop on into the pit.
Victory.
Yeah, so that was it. I didn't really see any major mistakes there. I think like just the concepts. So like defaulting to speed is better than defaulting to heal. It does require a lot more like paying attention, and like 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 it's only better if you heal when heal is needed. If you just leave it on speed, then that's worse than defaulting to heal. So it's more difficult, but it will get your team more value kind of in the neutral fights when no one's taken too much damage yet. And then for the boops, like you can look for those boop opportunities. Like try to think about like if someone on their team is overextended, just like boop them into your team. Or if you're like playing on a corner against a corner, then maybe like think about trying to find a wall ride that gets you like over the top of them, and then boop them into your team for like easier kills, I guess. Or like that's how Lucio creates an opening pick, I guess. So yeah, I guess I'll take a look at your next one when you have it.